Good afternoon. Going to do some mostly Qigong and a little Tai Chi to try to relax into the weekend. My name's Stan, and we want to start off by getting your posture, your balance, and your breathing, which is principles that run throughout Qigong and Tai Chi. First, you get your foundation set up. You have your feet about shoulder width apart, as parallel as you can get them. And you relax into it. And if you have issues with hips, knees, joints, or anything, you adapt this. You don't push it. There's a Chinese concept of wu wei. You just kind of, it's a non-effort effort. It's like when you fall into a flow state when you're running and the run just kind of does itself. If you need to have your toes out a little bit to make your hips and knees feel better, that's okay. You sink down into it. They call it sinking your chi. So you start to feel if you're equally balanced left and right, front and back. So if you're centered, it's right in the middle of the weight of each foot. So you have an invisible line around the outsides of your feet. Everything inside that rectangle is going to be your foundation. You have acupressure points in the center of each forefoot. You translate into English as bubbling wells, and you can just visualize an energetic connection there pulling you down, firmly connecting you to the earth. Once you're connected to the yin energy of the earth, you connect yourself to the yang energy of the heavens. You have another acupressure point. It's the same as the crown chakra in yoga, but in Chinese it's called the Ba Wei. Visualize an energetic connection there pulling you upwards, or a line there attached pulling you upwards. And as it does, it stretches you towards the sky, it makes you taller, it stacks your vertebrae on top of each other, and it starts to make adjustments to your body. Tops of your hips are parallel to the floor, your tailbone drops down a little bit, your hips move back a little bit, flattens out your stomach, flattens out your lower back. Again, if that doesn't feel comfortable, just relax into whatever feels best for you. The tops of your shoulders are parallel to the floor. And your shoulders just relax down to center line so they're not pulled up around your ears or slouch forward or pull back in attention. They're just relaxed. Imaginary line across your eyes and ears is parallel to the floor, and as that line pulls you upwards, it tucks your chin in a little bit, moves your head back a bit, so your head becomes nice and balanced on your shoulders. Towards the corners, it's just nice and balanced on your shoulders. If you were to drop a line from that Ba Wei down through the center of your body, through the perineum, it should hit the floor right in the middle of your foundation. So you're in harmony with gravity. You're not doing any extra work to stay up. That's one of the other principles in Tai Chi is you only use whatever muscles, tendons, everything else is relaxed but ready. So at this point, you're in harmony with gravity, hopefully. You can focus on your breathing. You inhale through your nose down to your diaphragm. So if you put one hand up on your chest, which would be middle dantian or heart chakra, and lower dantian, right where your center of gravity is, and you breathe, this is the hand that's moving. This hand's relatively still. Okay, we're having some trouble with the connection, even though I'm using my phone. That's unusual. Okay, we're focusing on our breathing. And you inhale through your nose as best you can to start to warm the air up a little bit, filter it out a little bit. And when you exhale, you pull the pelvic floor up to move as much air out as you can. But even with the breathing, there's a 70% rule. You only do 70% of whatever you're capable of at this moment. And you progressively increase. You ease into it, you flow. You touch the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth. Chinese medicine that connects a couple of energy channels we'll probably talk about a little bit more later. But it also disengages the muscles in your jaw so you can't clench your teeth. So just breathe at your own pace, making the exhale last just a little bit longer than the inhale. And as you breathe out, if you want to sigh, you can just let whatever tension is inside, whatever tightness is inside, just flow out away from you with that sound. And just breathe. If you feel any tightness across the top of your head, your forehead, around your eyes, your ears, your jaw, around your mouth, just breathe into it and let it soften. We express our emotions with our face, and one way to help yourself calm down first is with your breathing to your abdomen. The second is just relaxing all the muscles in your face. And just let any tightness in your shoulders melt away down into your arms, to your fingertips, your upper back, your chest, down your stomach, your lower back, any tightness anywhere, just let it soften. In your hips, down your legs, your ankles, your feet, your toes, if there's any tightness anywhere, just let it soften. Let your arms float up with your palms facing to about chest high. Turn your hands towards you as you press in. Drop your elbows. Press your head back a little bit to feel some movement in your neck. Turn your hands. You press out, and it's like your fingers are making a diamond shape there, and you're just looking through that. Your arms expand outwards, letting all the joints expand. Arms come back down. Tuck your chin just a bit to feel a little bit more stretch in the back of your neck. Inhale on the way up, and exhale. Inhale and exhale. We'll do one more. And back to the center. Arms come up again. One hand, either one, it doesn't matter, but the palm faces towards the floor as it drops down just below your hip. Other hand folds over to get this acupressure Laogong point in the middle of your palm lined up with an upper dantian, your third eye. And you keep those 2 points connected as you turn to move the muscles in your shoulder and neck as you look to the side. As you come back to the center, the lower hand comes up, palms face briefly. It's an exhale and an inhale. Come back to the center. Arms come down. Got to pause in the rain. If it starts to rain, you'll hear it hitting on the skylights. Just turn your head to one side, drop your chin, roll it across the bottom, and then straight across that center line. It's an exhale and an inhale, and one more. And let's reverse, go to the other side. Back to elbows to the front, loosen up the shoulders a little bit. And then reverse. And then let your arms float up, palms turn upwards, fold downward towards you. This is one where you can use visualization of clean energy, yin energy of the earth coming into your palms. Then as your hands turn upwards, the clean yang energy of the heavens coming in, and then pressing down. It's an inhale and an exhale. And as you press clean energy through your body, you can visualize stagnant energy going out through the soles of the feet, through those bubbling wells. We're back. Okay, where were we? Never had this trouble with connection before. Must be the storms. Okay, we're gonna some more for the shoulders. Bring your hands up. And then it's a stretch in the chest and then in the upper back. It's an inhale and an exhale. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm guessing maybe systems are overloaded too. I was doing a Zoom class the other day and that just dropped, and I was using Wi-Fi for that in DSL versus my Verizon account on the cell phone. Took me about 3 minutes to get back on, and by that time everybody was gone. So just back with your arms about shoulder width. You reach out with your hands to get some movement in your elbows, but you don't fully extend your arms. You still have some bend in your elbows. Hands come back towards your shoulders, but not all the way. You don't want to fully compress. It's an exhale out and an inhale back. Always remember back in the 90s on the X-Files, no matter where they were, it seemed like their cell phones always worked, despite it being that long ago. Never had a cell connection like that. And your fingers are pointed straight up. Just let your arms pause for a moment and let your hands tilt towards you and away from you. And then towards and away from each other. Circles one way, and then the other way, and soft fists that come to rest by your hips. And Annie, my beagle, is snoring as usual. Both dogs are nice and asleep, so just reach out, open your hand, grasp, pull back in. It's an exhale and an inhale. Remember that principle of song. As you reach out, you just visualize all the joints expanding outwards, but again, keeping softness in the elbow, fingers spread out. Come back. We'll do one more on each side. It's that yin-yang, expansion and contraction. I guess that should be yang-yin, since the expansion would be the yang. Bring your hands so your fingers are facing. If you've been doing a fair amount of keyboard work, working at home, this will help loosen up your fingers a little bit more. As you inhale, you visualize your fingers, all the joints expanding outwards, the bones all in your hands and your wrists expanding. And as you exhale, they just relax back. So it's an inhale and an exhale. One more. Just flex your fingers. For your back, hold the ball. Either hand on top, it doesn't matter. Just make sure the arm on top, the elbows drop down below your shoulder. Lower hand rotates out, presses up, upper hand presses down. You come back to the center. Sometimes this one's called touching heaven and earth. You can put a little bit of a twist in it if you want, and when you do that, Chinese medicine, when you see that, is not just stretching the muscles in your back, but massaging some of the internal organ systems. When the right hand goes up, the liver system. When the left hand goes up, the spleen system. Doesn't matter if you believe that or not, but it does feel good. And when you get back to the center, you're still holding the ball. You got to move just from the hips up. I've got this hand on top. Turn to that side till your hands line up with that hip. You rotate the hands around, keeping the palms facing. You come back to the hip on the other side, and you can just synchronize your breathing. So you're inhaling in one direction and exhaling in the other, or just breathe however feels most comfortable for you. The important thing is to remember to breathe. Sometimes folks focus so much on the movements, they forget about the abdominal breathing and go back to a shallow kind of upper chest breathing, which, if you're not stressed already, that type breathing is a stress response breath. So just focus on breathing down to your abdomen. Back to the center. Hands go out to one side like you're going to press into a wall. Shift all your weight into that foot. So now my foundation is just this foot. There's a line around that foot. No weight in the other foot at all. Just reach out and touch. So you feel some movement in your hip. Come back to the center. Then the same thing on the other side. And it's an exhale and an inhale. movements, try to do slowly like you're moving through a gentle resistance. I'm wearing flat shoes on a carpet that has padding underneath it, so don't feel quite as stable as usual because there's a little bit of movement trying to adjust to that padding. One of the things when you're doing balance exercises is just pay attention to how the bottoms of your feet feel. Remember, balance, a big part of it is the connection between your brain and the bottoms of your feet. And different type shoes, different surfaces really have an effect on that. Have your hands with your palms down like you're resting on a railing. And these are going to counterbalance. They're going to go back when the foot goes forward just a little bit. And then they're going to go forward just like you're doing an opening movement when your foot goes to the rear. So shift all your weight into one foot. Hands go back a little bit. One foot goes up, heel touches. Hands come back to the middle. If you need to rebalance, you just touch your foot down in the middle. Hands go forward, foot goes behind you, but your body stays perpendicular over the weighted foot. So you don't accidentally go into a warrior three pose, but you also don't lean out to the side. Stay nice and centered over your foundation. And then we'll do it on the other side. If you feel pretty comfortable with your balance, just let your legs swing in a straight line, just like it's the pendulum. You're the clock, your arms are the counterweight. Come back to the center. Toes are pointed towards the corner, a little bit of space between your heels, fists at your hips. And for your knees, you shift all your weight into one side, you rotate on that forefoot. That foot goes straight forward from where your toes were. And you punch with the opposite arm. Again, for counterbalance. So you're actually moving more than just your knee, it's also your hip and all the joints in your arms. And it's an exhale and an inhale. Come back to center. Throughout all this, knees should be pointed in the same direction as your toes. So we're going to shift all the weight over into one foot, rotate again on that foot, and step up straight with where your toes were, so you can see there's some space between my feet. When you shift your weight up, this knee in front should be behind your toes. And then you punch. And this one is a really good for that principle of sung. It's a really nice stretch when you expand everything outwards. It's an exhale and an inhale. And if you hear a pop, it's probably my neck. Sometimes I accidentally give myself a chiropractic adjustment with this one because it is such a nice stretch. And just come back to the center. Shift all your weight into one foot. No weight in the other foot. You can just go heel and toe to loosen up the ankle a little bit. Same thing on the other side. Shift all your weight back. For the lateral motion, there's no weight in this foot, so I can just go outside, inside the foot as close to the same spot as I can. So I want to isolate the ankle. Same thing on the other side. Come back to the center, being very kind and gentle with your hip, knee, and ankle. Shift all your weight over, and first you make a circle in one direction, then the other direction. Shift your weight over, same thing other side, and then reverse. Come back to the center. And just start to shift your weight from one side to the other. So again, it's like you have a pendulum hanging down or a plumb bob hanging down. When you're right in the middle, it goes from the bob way through the perineum right to the middle of your foundation. When I shift all my weight to this leg, it goes straight down to the middle of that foot. When I shift all into this side, it's straight down in the middle of that foot. Again, just pay attention to how that feels on the bottoms of your feet. When you get all your weight into one foot, the heel naturally comes up on the other one, and if you can, you just let that toe float up off the floor just a little bit. You relax down into that other foot. A little bit of balance work. Shift all your weight into the other foot that was weightless a moment ago, so the other foot can just float up a little bit. Back to the middle. This time you have like a helium balloon on your knee, and it just floats that foot up like you're about to step up onto a flight of stairs or up over a curb. And down, and then the other side. Down. This time your heel floats up just like you've taken a step. And other side. And down, you let your leg come up, just drop your hand on your thigh very gently. In most classes, find this one the easiest balance exercise of all the ones we do. Back to the center. Again, shift your weight from side to side. As you do, you visualize warm, salty water just flowing from one side of your body to the other, from your tips of your toes all the way up to the top of your head, down your fingertips and back. And as it does, it just cleans all the cells, loosens any tightness, any adhesions. You just get nice and soft and very relaxed, but your body, your muscles are still ready. So it's a eutonic. When you're really tight and tensed up, that's hypertonic, that's too young. When you're totally like jello, too yin, hypotonic. So we shift from side to side. We'll just start to twist on that center axis a little bit so your arms swing. And they just swing from one side to the other, just like your hands are directly attached to your spine. And you might find your wrist or your hand touches down just inside your hip in the back very gently. This is just called a Tai Chi swing. And it's another one where you can use visualization, or you can just, if you can, you close your eyes and just visualize yourself in a place where you feel very safe and secure. Closing your eyes, swaying like this makes you a little dizzy or nauseous. You just open your eyes, look straight ahead at something that's not moving. But again, just let your body swing. For the drumming, first it's just inside your shoulder. It's an acupressure point on the lung meridian. Then right at the base, the rib cage. And then just inside the hip. Lower dantian, which is a couple finger widths below your belly button. Dantian, remember, just translates as elixir field, and you have three of them, upper, middle, and lower. Lower is the big one in Chinese medicine and Chinese martial arts. It's where you direct your energy from, where you get your torque and your power from. And then just swing. Back to the center, you're holding a really big ball. Lower hand takes it out a little bit, upper hand keeps your head fairly still. You turn the other side. Just loosening up the lower back and the hips. And then just balance everything out. I'm going to challenge my memory a little bit. There was a doctor of Chinese medicine and Qigong teacher who came to William and Mary a couple of months ago, not long before things closed down. And in his talk, he taught a sequence called the 5 phases. And I've been trying to learn that. Sometimes you get interference if you already know similar forms, so that's been going with me, but I'm going to give it a try, so feel free to follow along. You get your posture, your balance, and your breathing. Just focus on your breath. Let your arms come up, down a little bit. So there's a little bit of a bend in the knees. The first is for metal, and it's for opening up the chest and the lungs, so your hands come out palm down. And then you're going to go palm up on the outside and sweep back in as you lower down a little bit. So your body's going up and down a little bit. It's an inhale and an exhale. And so far you do the movement slowly like you would normally do, just like you're moving through water through gentle resistance. There's a little bit of an undulation in this. Balance everything out. Metal gives rise to water. Water is associated with kidneys. You have your hand palm out over a kidney. Your feet are a little bit further apart. And you're going to be shifting your weight from side to side like this. So this hand on the opposite side comes across. So I have my weight in the side where my arm is behind me. First part, you come across with your palm out. Your hand sweeps down low. You keep yourself over your foundation so you're not leaning forward. It's more of a squat. You come up and across. Exhale and inhale. His visualization for this one was you visualize as your hand comes down, you're scooping up very beautiful, pure blue water. As your hand comes across, it's flowing down this arm, down to this arm into the kidney. And then I call it turbid chi. It's stagnant chi. Flows out again down through those bubbling wells. With the first one, you visualize inhaling pure white light and exhaling turbid gray chi. Then you bounce it out, so you just swing your arms around to the other side. Hands palm out when it goes across, just about level with, just below eye level or right about eye level. This one is strictly for health, so it doesn't matter so much if you're blocking your vision. When we're doing things like wave hands like clouds, you really want to have your hand, upper hand below your eyes, because that does have a martial intention. Really get your whole body involved with it too. Come back to center. Water gives rise to wood. I've been trying to remember this one because it kind of reminds me of chopping wood. It looks a lot like the hand movements you do in repulsing monkey. Breathing is a little bit trickier because it's 1, 2, 3 as you're inhaling, 1, 2, 3 as you're exhaling. So I'm going to do it quietly because I'm trying to count and breathe. But just to demonstrate, again, you're involving your whole body. You're shifting your weight from one side to the other. So let's begin. balance it all out. That was a little faster than what I've been used to in Qigong and Tai Chi. The breath cycle is you do 3 on an in-breath, 3 for an out-breath. Typically in the morning they would do an odd number like 9. If they're doing it in the evening, they would do an even number like 8. Reason being, the odd number would be associated with the yang energy of the morning, even number would be associated with the yin energy of the evening. What gives rise to fire? Come up and down. This one will look really familiar if you've had Yang or Sun style Tai Chi. It looks a lot to me like Fair Maid works the shuttles or Jade Lady works the shuttles. You push to the side, fingers on the arm to the side are going to be pointed in the same direction as the toes on that side. And the hand's going to be pointed towards the corner. So again, you're shifting your weight from side to side, push to the other side. So inhale, exhale. So this hand's pushing across the center line. In that way, it's a little bit different than working the shuttles. Always have subtle differences that if you practice over a number of years, you really can come to appreciate those subtleties. And lost count. So we'll do just a couple more on each side. One of the things I try to remember is not to bring this arm up too high, to try to keep that elbow dropped a little bit when you're doing play the shuttles. You're pulling back and pushing, so this one you're kind of pulling back and pushing too. Okay, that was fire. That leaves earth, and ironically in earth we're looking towards the heavens. You come up, down, fingertips trail, and you end up holding your hands like a diamond shape in the front. Hands come up, and you're looking through that portal. You lift the back of your neck so you can look up without hurting your neck. There's bend in your knees, and again it's shifting your weight from one side to the other, so it's kind of like had a sudden flash of like a radar, kind of looking at the skies. But you keep your feet very connected to the earth, and you really feel how the weight shifts from one side to the other. And again, breathe however feels most comfortable for you. Back to the center. Balance everything out. That's one version of 5 elements. I'm going to really try to test my memory and see if I can do a couple other versions and not get them mixed up. Just relax. Arms come up. This one starts off with wood, so your hips go back. Hands come down, the backs of your hands come together. As you come back up, your hands rotate. When they get to the middle dantian, fingers are pointed up. When they get to the upper dantian, palms are together. Arms open up like a tree. Let's come up. Down. 70% of however low you can go, you come up. Do one more. Sort of like doing a version of a squat with your legs. Back to the center. What gives rise to fire? Your arms come up. Shift your weight into one leg, either one, it doesn't matter. And you rotate on your heels so the toes facing that corner. And then the flames shoot out. Come back, Shift your weight. Same thing to the other side. Out and back. We'll do a couple more. Exhale. Inhale. And when you finish this one, flames just go out. Come back down. Fire gives rise to earth. You go right into it. One hand goes underneath the other. Come up. Hands turn palm down. Press down and out. Other hand comes underneath. Inhale. And exhale. Back to the center. Water gives rise to metal. Hands come up. Backs of your hands face as you come out to the side. As you come back to the center, palms are facing and they float back down. Shift your weight. Backs of your hands. Release the hands. Come back. Do one more on each side. Back to the center in the last element. Metal gives rise to water. Hands, as you kind of squat down, it's like undulating waves. Fingertips trailing. Balance it all out. There's a standing meditation you can do that Zheng Manqing, who's sometimes called a professor, who was the first Chinese person to bring, that we know of anyway, Tai Chi to America to teach Tai Chi, came to New York. And he's called a professor. If you have Canopy, I believe the documentary on him is still there. But you swing a little bit, bring the left arm up, right arm up. So you have like a circle in front of you. And this is a standing meditation where focus on your breathing and getting everything relaxed already. Abdominal breathing, everything relaxed. And you used a visualization in this where you start off visualizing a very small point of white, pure, healing light right in the middle of your body. It's just inside that lower dantian. In some Chinese medicines, they call it the Wu Ji spot in the body, that complete center of gravity point. And as you breathe, you visualize that light expanding outwards. Eventually, it includes your whole body. Continue to breathe, and it can expand out to include the room you're in, into the building you're in, or if you're outside, a space around you, out to your whole town, your county, your state, your country, the world. He has it expand ever outwards to the entire infinity of the universe. And then it comes gradually back in towards you until it's that small point of light once again. And while you're doing that, you don't really notice how your legs, your knees are bent, so you're really in a horse stance and you're actually working your legs out, but you can really get a sense of calm with that. You balance it all out. Then he does something called yin-yang breathing, where your arms come up, they come in, they press down. So we'll do it from the side, arms come up, they come in, they press down. So your fingertips trail. It's almost like you're making a circle in front of you. And it's an inhale and an exhale. At the very beginning of this, we mentioned that in Chinese medicine, they see you as having actually 12 major meridians for energy in your body, but two really big ones are conception vessel. It runs from the tip of your tongue down the front of your body to the perineum. Governing vessel that runs from the perineum up your back, up your neck, top of your head, down to the roof of your mouth, and that's why they have you touch your tongue to your roof of your mouth. It also uses a visualization of this one. You can do it either direction, really. They call it the microcosmic orbit. You can visualize that pure white light. Let's do it. Tip of the tongue going down the body to the perineum, coming up to the back, around the top of the head to the tip of the tongue. So you just visualize really healing energy just circulating through all those channels that are connected to all the organs in your body. Do it more slowly. It works your legs a little bit more too. And then when you're ready, you balance it all out. And the third piece of this one is continuing bear watching owl. The bear is moving from one side to the other. The owl is sitting on top of his head, being very observant of everything that's going on. Bear is used because it's very representative of yin-yang cycles with hibernation during the yin time of winter and out seeking food during the summer. So you're holding a ball. It looks a lot like wave hands like clouds, but it's not. You're shifting your weight, turning to one side. Keeping those palms facing, shifting your weight. This is a pretty good, you can just do this one by itself. And according to Zhang Qing, when you're doing this one skillfully, you're really practicing all the principles of Tai Chi. As you shift your weight from one side to the other, when all my weight's in this foot, that's input energy is coming up into that foot. As I push off of it, energy comes up. You direct it with the waist. You express it with the hands. You're getting that torque from weight shift. You're also massaging internal organs for the silk reeling. And keeping those Lao Gong points lined up, theoretically in Chinese medicine, will also help with the movement of energy through your body. So with this one, I've noticed my hands tingle relatively quickly. If you have some tingling in your hands, or your hands get a little red, or they get a little warm, you're doing it in a skillful way. Just come back to center, balance everything out, hands come down. We'll do a relatively quick version of a third version of 5 elements. This is the earth element, earth energy. Just inhale and exhale. A couple more. Hands come up for metal, inhale and exhale. Back to earth. Metal gives rise to water, which flows down. Again, it's like you're sitting in a chair. You're doing a squat. You're not leaning over. Inhale up. Exhale down. Back to the earth. Or give rise to wood, so it's a big circle in front. It's an exhale, and exhale, and an inhale. Tough to talk and breathe at the same time. Last energy, rotate to your left hip, right hand comes on top, inhale, and exhale. Or rotate on that center axis to the other side, left hand on top in front of the right hip. And come back to the center and then just massage down the back if you need to do some extra on your lower back and on the kidneys, up the front and sides. And then horse stance with arms holding a tree, or just standing stake or standing pole, which is another translation of Tai Chi, actually, is the kind of the pole that holds up the tent, or a pole star, or it's kind of the center, in addition to Supreme Ultimate. Balance everything out 3 times. Inhale and exhale. Last one. Come back to the center. Thanks for coming in and spending part of your Friday with me. I hope you have a good weekend. Tomorrow is World Tai Chi and Qigong Day. If you look on the World Tai Chi and Qigong Day Facebook page, there's a link to how to sign up for an 8-hour, I think it is, a presentation of various Qigong masters that starts in the afternoon. We're going to do a really informal, small one here too through William and Mary. So, thank you. Take care. Be well and safe. And I hope to see you again soon.